Hey kids, it's Mrs. Fravel. Welcome to the ecology unit. This will be the first concept that we'll touch on today. We're going to talk about water. Okay, what about water? Water is ubiquitous on the planet Earth. That's a big word that means it is everywhere. When we look at our planet from outer space, we very much live on a water planet. One of our oceans in the world, this is an image from outer space of just the Pacific Ocean, takes up one whole side of our planet. And what would our planet look like without water? Not very pretty, huh? Let's talk about the water cycle really quickly as review, because you guys know this, you did this in junior high. The water cycle is how water moves through the environment and through ecosystems. Okay? You all, again, have seen this, but the water cycle generally, you can start anywhere, but if we start with where it hits the land, water from clouds precipitates onto the land. Precipitation is anything falling from the clouds. The precipitation then runs off of the high points of land. Surface runoff, it'll soak into the groundwater or it will stay on the surface as surface water, lakes, and rivers. And then it is taken up from the ground by plants, and it also evaporates from surface water, and all of that evaporation and transpiration goes into the atmosphere as vapor. As it goes higher, it gets colder, so it gets condensated. It condensates into clouds and then starts it all over again. And here's your fun fact. All of the water that we have here on the planet came from outer space billions of years ago during planet and solar system formation. There is lots of water in the universe. It's everywhere. But it's special here on Earth because remember when we talked about the special properties of liquid water? And they are present here. Water is present on this planet in all three phases: gas, solid, and liquid. Okay? And all of the water that has ever been here is still here. That is all of the water that we have. The water that you could go over to your sink right now, turn on the tap, the water that comes out of that, if you got a drink of that, it might have been water that was once drunk by a dinosaur or a woolly mammoth or a whale or the King of England in the 1600s. It's always been here. So how much water do we have? The Earth, of course, water planet, 71% of its surface is covered in water. That is locked up in two different ways. We have salt water and we have fresh water. Most of the water on the planet is salt water that is undrinkable by living things because of the minerals dissolved in it. That's what salt water means. So 2.5% of the water on the planet is actual usable fresh water. Of that 2.5%, the vast majority of that fresh water is also unusable because it's frozen. It's locked into glaciers and snow that is permanently on the ground. And then we have 30% of that water is groundwater. That is usable, not easy to get. And then 1.2% of that 2.5% is the water that we use as well. Okay, so that 1.2% of water is locked up in the tissues of living things. It's in rivers, it's in swamps and marshes, it's in lakes, and then it is also in all of this, again, unusable parts or storage in ground, ice, and permafrost. We can't extract that to use it. Okay? So we really, of this 2.5% of water, we can use about 31% of that water. And of that 31%, we can really only use 30% of that. So that is a very small proportion of the total water on the planet. What the water that we do use, we can access from lakes, rivers, and underground aquifers. And on your notes, I would like you to go research what is an aquifer and what is groundwater, okay, and answer that on your note guide. Okay, so what happens when there is no water? Drought, and that happens all the time. The Earth is a very dynamic place. It changes and waterfall is not always constant. Okay? Drought is a prolonged period of low rainfall. Sometimes that's a few weeks. It can be a few years. It can be decades. And there are a couple questions on your notes I would like you to also fill in. Even where there is water, sometimes it is not well accessed by the humans that live there. Okay? The red zones on this map, that's where water physically does not happen in abundance. Those are the deserts. Oh, look, you know what, you guys? Utah's right about here. Interesting. Deserts. And then the black areas, those are areas where there is water, but economically, it's not accessible to the people who live there. It isn't clean enough to drink. It isn't accessed if it is groundwater or an aquifer. They may not have the technology to actually withdraw it to use it. Okay, so water is a precious commodity, and we don't tend to think about it that way. Because we use a ton of it. We use water all the time. We use water every day, and we're only using more. Every day, people use more and more water. We take longer showers. We eat more food. We buy more products. Water is used everywhere, and we'll take a look at those specifics in just a sec. Again, the Earth's water supply is fixed. We only have so much water. And human society, while we have created some amazing things through technology, some of that interrupts the water cycle. We are pulling water out of the water cycle, and it is not being returned to the environment to be refiltered, transpired, evaporated, and reprecipitated. I would like you to go research some of the ways that we interrupt the water cycle. Okay? So what does it look like when we break down who's using the water? Because I'm saying you a lot, okay? As a citizen of the United States, okay, we are third, we are ranked third in our use of water. China and India both use more water than we do per year. But here's where graphs can be misleading. These two countries have a lot more people than we do. A lot more people live in China, and a lot more people live in India than live in the US. These countries some of them have populations that match the US. There's not many more people in the US than there are in Brazil and Russia. And here's the really interesting thing to think about. Every person in the United States uses 1,206 cubic meters of water every year. You use that much water per year, believe it or not. And what that comes out to, because these numbers over here is the total usage. In China, each person that's using these cubic meters of water, each person's only using 439 square meters. Sorry, that says centimeters. Bad, Fravel. That should only say cubic meters. In India, this one, each person uses less than 100 cubic meters per year. That's in this number. In the US, again, we are the third largest consumer of water, and each person uses 1,206 cubic meters of water per year. So this is a little bit misleading if you're starting to feel good about yourself. Just kidding. So how do you use that water? How do you use 1,200 gallons of water or 1,200 cubic meters of water every year? Think about how you use water every day. For instance, showering and bathing. We like to be clean in the United States. We all take very thorough, very long, very hot showers, probably most of us every day, right? We also drink a lot of water here in the US. We are told we must drink 3 to 4 liters per day, right? How else do you use water? Go ahead and pause this video on your note guide. Just brainstorm. How else do you use water? I'll wait. Come on back in a minute. I'll just be here. Okay. How is water used? So you should have listed some of your personal water use methods. These are really how water is used. There's a public supply of water, right? And within that, we get these categories. We have domestic water, that's when you turn on the tap. Irrigation, water, plants that you eat, plants grown for crops have to be watered. Water has to be brought in to do that. Thermoelectric power, here in Utah we don't use that much because we don't have a lot of big rivers, but water is used to create electricity a lot. Then we also have all of the water used in industrial areas, which means the products that you use, including your clothing, your food, your drinks, everything uses water. We use water to get mining resources. We use water to support our livestock, of course, cows and chickens and pigs, they all gotta be watered. And then we do have some aquaculture. We have some crops and some animal meat supplies that are actually raised in water. So this is all of the ways that you are contributing your 1,200 cubic meters per year. There are two types of water use. Direct, that's when you turn on the tap. You also use water virtually, however, and that's all those other categories. The water that they use to create your food, especially if you eat processed food, like if you go to the store and you buy a Lunchable, or you go to the store, your mom goes to the store, and all of those wonderful frozen foods and canned goods and dehydrated packaged stuff, okay, that all uses a lot of water to create. Also, your clothes. Your clothes take water to make. Electronics, household goods, and all of the services and shipping of all of those contribute to your virtual water use. Okay. Every day, this is about how each person's water use breaks down. We use the toilet a lot, and our toilets are not very efficient. 25, almost a quarter of the water you use every day, flush down the drain. And guess what, you guys? That water is drinkable water. The water in your toilet is the same water that comes out of the tap. It's not any different, and we just flush it away. Showers, faucets, all of this is your direct water use. Okay? Your virtual water use is a lot of different things, and depending on what kind of products and foods you eat, contributes to your virtual water use. Okay? But look at this big number right here. Okay? What is that? A kilo of beef. If you like to eat steak, and you guys, I do, that is how much water it takes, how many liters of water it takes to grow a kilo of beef, which is a few pounds, okay? Oops, sorry, I meant to go back down here. Again, 25% of your water every day flushed right down the toilet. And when you eat, depending on what you eat, everything uses water to be made. 189 liters of water for apples. Milk, 238 liters of water. Goodness. Okay. There are several different types of water also. We have gray water, green water, and blue water. Gray water is the water that no one likes to talk about. It is still usable water. It's relatively clean. So if you think about the water that's washed down the drain in your showers and your sinks, not the toilet, that's called black water. That's wrong, bad, goes away, and is retreated. Gray water, however, can be used to irrigate and can be reinserted into the water cycle. Let's put it that way. Okay. Green water is water coming straight from the sky. That's precipitation. And then blue water is the water that enters lakes and rivers and groundwater. Sorry, green water is the water locked up and absorbed by vegetation. Whew. Okay. Now then, water footprint. This is how to calculate how much water each person uses. Sorry, I need to get a little drink of water. I'm dry. Okay. So water footprint is all of the water used by a single person, and there is kind of a generalized formula for that, and you guys are going to be calculating that in just a sec. Other terms I would like you to know, go ahead and pause this so that you can get those definitions because I'm running out of time. Now your assignment. I would like you to go back to the Canvas page, watch the video called Freshwater Scarcity, and just think for a sec on how you use water, and then go find out how you actually use water. Do the assignment, My Water Footprint, on Canvas, okay? All right, Good job. If you have any questions, please ping me on Canvas or pop into the Google Meet. I will post office hours on the Canvas homepage. Go read the homepage. Make sure you're doing everything you need to do. Okay, have a beautiful day, you guys. Bye.